Hi friends, and welcome back to City Stuga, aka City Cottage. Today at the cottage, I'm taking you on a journey through planning my sewing makes for the season. With the fall season just a few days away, I've been mindfully planning new projects to make, discovering new ways to use old fabric, and easing my way through this transition to cooler weather and shorter days. I hope you find inspiration for your own projects and encouragement to embrace the coziness of the fall season ahead. If you haven't already, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more sewing, crafts, and city life content. Before I get started, I'm going to take inventory of my cool weather clothing items to see where it makes sense to add. Since I do live in a city cottage, I keep out-of-season clothes in one tote under my bed, with a separate drawer in my dresser for sweatshirts and sweaters. I've kept a few cardigans hanging all year round for the chilly office I work in, but pretty much everything else meant for cold weather has been packed away since spring. I won't be going through my accessories like hats, gloves, or stockings, but I will be looking through basically everything else to see what I have and what needs to be mended or even treated for stains, and then try to find some gaps to fill with fabric that I already have. The office is definitely a variable for this season that didn't exist last year. I returned to the office more recently and will need probably at least one additional item in my wardrobe that's appropriate for a business environment. As a plus-size girly, I often struggle finding business professional clothes in traditional stores, usually due to the limited size ranges and frankly limited fashion sense of the plus-size designers. One exception I found for at least a classic two-piece business suit is Macy's, and this is not sponsored by them, but I found a few suits to kick off my work wardrobe without me having to adopt the skills needed to build those very structured and time-intensive pieces like dress pants and blazers. I'm going to start with some knits and more basic pieces. Each piece I pick up, I'm looking for any stains or potentially places to mend. I got this set of ripped knit long sleeve shirts. This red one has some oil stains, so I'm going to try to get that off at some point so that I can wear it again this season. I got them in this mulberry, the blue, and this more basic tan or beige. I could drone on about every piece of cold weather clothing that I have, but I would rather talk about Downton Abbey, so I'm going to speed this up and talk about the new Downton Abbey movie. It's called the grand finale, and I would say I'm a passive Downton Abbey fan. I picked up the DVDs in thrift stores over the years, and it's kind of a comfort show for me. But they released a new movie in theaters recently. I'm honestly not sure how many movies they've created. I remember a Christmas special at one point, but that may have been very early on in the series. Anyway, this movie came out, and it's not that much of a spoiler, but if you don't want to know any details about it, maybe skip ahead a little bit. One of the characters in the new movie gets divorced, and this is 1930 England, and of course that is so scandalous, and everyone treats her, oh God, there's a spoiler, treats her as a pariah and does not invite her to society dinners, will not accept invitations, and I just had this thought that maybe that one of the reasons people really love Downton Abbey, especially an older crowd, is that the problems that people faced back then in society seem so much simpler than they do now. And I think they only seem simpler because we've solved that. We've solved mostly the casting aside of divorced women and divorced men. And so it probably feels nicer to look back at something that you know is solved rather than face the realities of the problems we have today and the fact that we don't currently have solutions for them. Anyway, that's just what I was thinking while I was watching this movie in a theater full of older people who probably remember a time when divorce was a huge deal and would make you an outcast, especially if you were a woman. Anyway, back to the clothes. I have at least 5 skirts, and as you'll see here, I have quite the collection of sweatshirts, including this one I made for Christmas one year with a vintage lame applique kit. I don't know what I expected, but this process has made me realize just how much I truly have, and it's making me temper my expectations for what I'll make. I've been trying to get to a place where I am getting rid of less because I'm bringing in less, and I feel like that's something that I have not ever really practiced. I would feel so vindicated and freed by getting rid of bags of clothes every year. And a lot of times it couldn't be avoided. I would change sizes or even move to different places with different weather that required certain clothing items. But as I have gotten older, I've been trying to be more focused on really only bringing in what I love and not carrying bags and bags out of my apartment every month to take to a donation center. It's hard to say if I am trying to go for a fully me-made wardrobe, especially when there are really cute pieces like this tucker neck wool dress or this red sweater dress that I got from my mom. But I do hope to make every type of clothing piece, whether that is a suit skirt set like this that has a full lining and a matching blazer that I also made, or something like a sweatshirt that looks like your traditional crew neck sweatshirt. This particular set I made with some fabric I had picked up in Germany, and I had no idea what to do with it at the time, so I really didn't have enough to do the full pattern, but it is something that I really enjoy wearing. These purple pants need to be hemmed as well as taken in. This is one of the suit sets that I did find at Macy's, and I just need to do a blind stitch on the pant hem and bring in the waistband somehow. It's the beginning of the end of the sorting with this pink Pendleton blazer. It originally had some mop holes in it, so I had taken an embroidery hoop, stretched the fabric out over, and then used white and pink thread to repair the hole. With my dining table covered, it's time to ignore the obvious step of actually switching out my wardrobe and instead retreat to my open desk to pet dreamy fabrics and feed my visions of sewing grandeur. I will look at some fabrics and patterns that I have picked out. My goal for my fall wardrobe pieces that I want to add is to embody this early 2000s Lorelai Gilmore practical magic style, while also keeping to my own sense of style that I've built over time. I'm only focusing on a few pieces for the fall. I think having all of your clothes, or at least half your wardrobe, out on a dining table in front of you really makes you think about what you need to be adding, because I do have a lot. And I know I probably don't have as much as some and way more than many, but part of this channel and part of my own work that I'm trying to do is consume a little bit less and make do with what I have. So for the upcoming videos, you'll be seeing fabrics that I've had in my stash for a number of years, some more recent than others, and you'll also see lots of mending and making what I already have work for me. I'd love to get into some restyling of different pieces and just open my horizons in terms of what is in my wardrobe and what can be added. I remember there was a point where I was taking maybe a bag or two a month to thrift stores to donate, and I feel like I've gotten that down to every few months, maybe even once a season, and I'd like to keep it that way. It helps me not feel overwhelmed by clutter in my small space, but it also means that I'm taking in less, which is always a good feeling. So with that, let's get into what I am going to get into this fall with my patterns. So first up, I'm going to bring this quilting cotton that I got in Oregon about 3 years ago now. This is Lewis and Irene brand, and it's called Hannah's Flowers. So I feel like it's giving a very kind of country vibe, and I have this matching, or coordinating rather, kind of, it's got this like orangish red tone to it, but I bought this originally to make the Patsy blouse, and this I have done before, and I would really love to make one that is long sleeves, so similar to this one here in the sample, one that is long sleeves and has some embroidery on it. So this would be a longer term project. There would be cutting out the different facings and embroidering, and then actually sewing the shirt together. So there's that, and that's one option. The Patsy blouse is from Charm Patterns, and I bought the PDF version quite a while ago, and I printed it through a company called PDF Plotting. They print other things as well, but they will print your patterns on A0 paper, which is great, so you don't have to tape a bunch of printer paper together to get your pattern. And I would definitely look into them. I would also look to see if your local sewing shop has printing services, because that can be a way to support local businesses as well, but PDF plotting is also a good option. So that's my first one. I'm going to set this just over here. I have like a horrible chocolate food stain on my pattern, so I don't want that to be in the camera. The next item I want to work on is the Orage dress from Deer and Doe Patterns. They were recently bought out by, I want to say, Closet Core, but I would like to make this dress in the theme with this blue crushed velvet. So it's got a little bit of a stretch to it, which is necessary for this pattern. It wants you to use knits. It wants you to use knits that have some stretch in all ways. This one has more stretch in the 2-way than it does in the 4-way, but it will work. So that's my next one. And then finally, and then this fabric, this blue velvet, is from Joann Fabrics, and I bought it maybe just about a year ago. I bought maybe 4 yards or so. I had some other ideas in mind, but I never really clung to them, so I decided to repurpose this from my stash to make this barrage. So this will be a sewing tutorial and sew along. And then the Patsy blouse, I'll have to see about that. I would definitely love to show you the embroidery process and how I am able to put that onto the facings, but we'll get there. The next fabric I have is actually from the late 90s, early 2000s. It's this beautiful brown suede-like fabric, I would say. So it's cottony on the inside. It's this smooth, soft texture on the outside, and with these beautiful embroidered flowers. It also came with a lining. So I was able to get this in a stash of fabrics from a neighbor who had posted them on the local Buy Nothing group. And if you're not part of your local Buy Nothing group or don't know what that is usually a Facebook group or maybe even a listserv where neighbors can post household items, clothes, sometimes even leftover food for free. And so the concept is to buy nothing, right? It's supporting the sharing economy. But this came from a generous stash from a neighbor, and it is from the original purchase date was like back in the early 2000s, late 90s. So very excited to work with this. With this in mind, I would love to make the skirt from this McCall's pattern. This is a bodysuit and skirt pattern that I have used the bodysuit side and I love it. I've made several bodysuits with it. A little bit of trial and error. I definitely had to lengthen the torso to fit, but the skirt has a double-sided zipper in the back. So this is what I'm thinking will be perfect for the office because I can make it long enough to wear to the office, and I already have with my basic tops that we looked at and my short sleeve ones that I did not show, some great options. But this is McCall's M7983, and so that's the plan for that. And then I was looking, I had found in my just fabric stash this cute pumpkin fabric. I had used some of it to make a vest for my sister, and it looks like Mom's the word. It's Debbie Mom for SSI is the designer and distributor, manufacturer. So with this, I have an idea in mind to make a laptop sleeve, and that's actually a pattern I've been working on making myself. So I've been workshopping that, so I'd like to make a laptop sleeve for the season and either keep it for myself or gift it, but that's what I want to do with that. So I'm very excited about these projects and adding just slowly to my wardrobe and filling in gaps where needed and using up my stash. I think that's the most important thing. In addition to making some new pieces, I also have plenty of mending to do. So as I showed, I have these button jeans that are wasting away on the inner thigh, so they are more than ready to be patched. And so I'll be working on that as well, and other pieces in my mending pile. As I mentioned, having everything out on the table really made me reassess my life and how much clothes I have. So trying to be careful and thoughtful about adding to the wardrobe and mending pieces that I already have as part of that. It also helps that these are just some of my favorite jeans, and I have worn them for over 3 years now. Yes, over 3 years now. So they've been a constant companion, and for a while they were the only pair of jeans that I owned. So I definitely want to save and hold on to those. But yeah, that is everything that I'm going to be working on for my fall wardrobe. And now that everything is out, I can start to go through all of my warm weather clothes and pull those together and pack them away back in my tote. If you want to see a video of packing up all my summer clothes, just let me know in the comments. And if you have any questions about these patterns or pattern printing or making your own pattern, just drop them in the comments and I will answer them the best that I can. But thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it, and I hope that you have a wonderful weekend.